What's up, Able audience? I'm back again for the third installment of my introductory series for the new channel AbleOrange. So, in this episode, I wanted to tell you guys and share a little bit of my story from the last episode and answer the question, what is autism, what is ADHD, and what does depression have to do with any of it? So this is my way of sharing my story like I did in the last episode about muscular dystrophy. If you haven't seen it, before you continue further in the video, I highly encourage you to check out the last video because some of the context from the last video you might need for this video. So buckle up and be ready to come along with me on this beautiful park in Knoxville, Tennessee, as we talk about autism, ADHD, and depression. So we're going to talk about mental health in this episode. It's a win-win for everybody. I get to make an episode and you guys get to learn something and maybe open up about something. So this is an episode I want to encourage the comment section to open up and share your experiences. So before I blab on further, let's hit this trail and let's get started. My name's William and this is AbleOrange. Let's go.
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Okay, terrible Obi-Wan impression aside, I just had to. But for real, welcome back to AbleOrange. Today we're talking about autism, ADHD, and what it means to have a neurodivergent mind. But before we get into all that, let's talk about where we're standing right now, or rather walking through. High Ground Park sits on what used to be Fort Hiley, a Civil War fort built by Union soldiers in 1863. This spot was strategic. It gave the Union forces a tactical advantage over the Tennessee River, allowing them to spot Confederate troops from a distance. Today, it's a peaceful walking trail, but back then, this high ground played a key role in protecting Knoxville. And just like how this place once provided a clearer view of the battlefield, today we're going to get a clearer understanding of what autism really is, historically, scientifically, and how it's understood today.
I just want you guys to see that in the last video I was talking about muscular dystrophy, but one of the main challenges for me, kind of getting off topic of this video, is I don't know if you can see, but that's quite a good hill, especially for someone like me. So if you remember from the last video, I talked about putting it in four-wheel drive for uneven terrain. So I'm definitely a lot slower and have to be careful going up or down, things like that. But this appears to be a paved pathway, so we'll see how it goes. All right, back to the narration.
So just what is autism? Well, autism isn't new. It's been around for almost as long as people have. But it wasn't always understood. The first known descriptions of autism-like behavior appeared in medical texts in the 18th and 19th centuries. But it wasn't until 1943 that Dr. Leo Kanner officially identified it as a distinct condition, calling it early infantile autism. Around the same time, Dr. Hans Asperger described what is now known as high-functioning autism, which, fun fact, was once called Asperger syndrome. But we'll get into that later. Scientists used to think autism was rare, or even a form of childhood schizophrenia. But today we know it's actually very common. About 1 in 36 people in the US are on the spectrum. And that brings us to today's understanding. Autism is now officially classified as a spectrum disorder under the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, or IDD. Now, what does that mean? Well, IDD is an umbrella term that includes conditions affecting cognitive, social, and adaptive functioning. It's why autism can look so different from person to person. Some autistic individuals may need a lot of support in daily life, while others like me can live independently but still face daily challenges. For me, those challenges include things like struggling with social interaction, oversharing, getting overstimulated, avoiding eye contact, and the most noticeable one, controlling the volume of my voice. I mean, I can go from whispering, mumbling, to a full-on public service announcement system without even realizing it. So here's where it starts to get interesting. Autism and ADHD often go hand in hand. In fact, research shows a lot of overlap between the two. ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, affects how the brain processes focus, impulsivity, and energy levels. But when autism and ADHD exist together, it's called ADHD. Now, that's not an official medical term, but it's the best way to describe the experience of having both. Basically, my brain is a chaotic mess most of the time. I either hyperfocus so hard I forget to eat, or I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes, if that. Social cues? Eye contact? Oversharing? Oh, you bet. And my volume control, well, we already talked about that one. But in all seriousness, these differences aren't necessarily bad, they're just different. And that's where the conversation shifts from what is autism and ADHD to how do we navigate the world with these neurodivergent minds.
Well, I made it to the top, and I'd be lying to you guys if I told you that was easy for me. A good chunk of my power came from my shoulders, but I wish it wasn't so cloudy, but I don't know if you can see behind me, if it'll focus up. That's downtown Knoxville and the river down there. And there's more of Knoxville this way. It's a lovely little seating area over here, these little chairs. Sorry, I gotta catch my breath. But yeah, with autism and ADHD, it's not the same for everybody, which is kind of on par with everything else. But with my type, I don't know officially what it's called anymore, but I guess high functioning autism, but the condition formerly known as Asperger's syndrome. And especially with ADHD, like focus is a big thing for me. Like, for example, when I went on hiatus there for a little while before the rebranding, it's just sometimes I just get in a funk, you know, and you lose that motivation and you just question yourself, you know. And sometimes it's just the winter blues, and other times it's not. That's just a harsh reality of the struggles of those with autism and ADHD. But I know they're not the same conditions, but frequently one or the other struggles with that thing. Well, that emptiness, you know? I'm out of breath. Let's go back to the narration. Part of me really wants to camp up here, but now comes the hard part, making it back to the car.
To better understand the previous question, one must take into consideration the two words, one I mentioned previously, neurodivergent. Let's take a look at neurotypical versus neurodivergent. Neurotypical refers to people whose brains function in a way that society as a whole considers normal or standard. Neurodivergent, on the other hand, includes conditions like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and many more. Neither is necessarily better or worse, just different ways of experiencing or seeing the world. And for the neurodivergent, everyday life can feel utterly exhausting. Social interactions can sometimes feel like a constant puzzle, sensory overload can make simple outings overwhelming, and the pressure to act normal or to mask is utterly draining. That's why mental health is so important. On that note, let's talk about the elephant in the room for a minute. Medication. Some people take meds for ADHD or anxiety or other things, and others don't. And that's okay. Medication is a tool, not a requirement. It is ultimately your choice based on your specific medical needs. But whether you take medication or not, one thing that matters for everyone, neurotypical or neurodivergent, is mental health. 1 in 5 adults in the US experience mental health struggles. Neurodivergent individuals are 3 times more likely to experience anxiety and depression. People taking their fates into their own hands rates are higher among both undiagnosed and diagnosed autistic individuals. Mental health isn't about being mentally weak or mentally strong. It's about recognizing that everyone struggles, and no one should feel ashamed for needing help.
I had to take a break on the way back at this little, I guess what I would call a midway point. But another note is, although I personally don't take medication to manage the symptoms I just talked about, I highly encourage you to consult your doctor or medical professional about what suits you personally.
Please note that AbleOrange isn't a medical or government entity, nor is AbleOrange affiliated with such entities. I'm just a guy sharing my experiences, hoping to be a light to those who feel lost or different. If you've ever felt different, alone, or misunderstood, I hear you. Or at least I see your comments and see your DMs on Instagram. And, coming from me, you do matter.
Hello. Must be the orange trail.
Yeah.
I stopped here because this is the hill that we started on. Well, I started on, but you guys are watching from my chest. So, well, that's a lot steeper than what I can see on the video, but that's the final push to get back to the car. By the time you see this, I will have already obviously made it back up, but root for me anyway.
Alright, while I make this final push up to the parking lot, quick safety announcement. If you have muscular difficulties or any mobility challenges at all, please be mindful before attempting this or similar trails. High Ground Park has some steep inclines and declines, and the occasional loose asphalt made it exceptionally tough for me. With my form of muscular dystrophy, my muscles don't recover the same way a healthy person's do. I stay sore longer and fatigue much faster, which is why I usually only film on Saturdays. It gives me a full week to recover before I push myself again. That being said, I've spent years learning my body's limits. I know when to push myself, but I also know when to step back. If you decide to visit, please explore at your own discretion. Listen to your body, take breaks, and don't be afraid to turn back if you need to. There's no shame in knowing your limits. And hey, if you do make it to the top, you get to say you have the high ground just like Obi-Wan. Just maybe try not to have any dramatic lightsaber duels, at least not without me. And look, we're already back to the parking lot.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh yeah. Alright, so I'm back in my car, obviously. And it's actually not that bad or long of a trail. It's really beautiful. Civil War historic sites along the way. So I highly recommend the high ground trail if you just want to get a good little jog or hike in if you're in the Knoxville area. As I said before, it's nestled behind the University of Tennessee Medical Center on Cherokee Trail Road. I believe that's the road. There it is, road behind me. But anyway, I hope you guys learned something about autism and ADHD today and how important prioritizing your mental health is. With that said, if you guys want to see more content like this, you want to see this new rebranded channel grow, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe, because when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm really going to try to put out merch. If you guys want to see the official AbleOrange t-shirt, because I certainly do, and you want a t-shirt for yourself and help spread the word of muscular dystrophy, autism, ADHD, and other mental and physical disabilities, that is a goal that I'm going to be working towards. As far as monetization, you can look at my subscriber count. I'm obviously nowhere near monetizing right now, and if you've really been following me since Camo Coffee Critic, you guys know that I'm not doing this for the clout. I'm doing this because it's fun, I enjoy it, and I just really hope that I'm a light to somebody. So again, don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe down below. As always, my name's William, and this has been AbleOrange. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.